It has been a great year for boxing, but one thing that has really bothered me this year is the disrespect Joseph Parker has received, because this is the number 3 ranked heavyweight in the world, the guy who I did a video on after he beat Zhilei Zhang, talking about how he is having a second career run at the moment, and beating Deontay Wilder and Zhilei Zhang back to back have re-established him as one of the best in the world. Again, he is ranked number 3 now that Anthony Joshua lost to Daniel Dubois, and yet he cannot get a fight. It's absolutely ridiculous. First of all, Zhilei Zhang did have a rematch clause, but instead of Zhang trying to avenge his loss to Parker, he fought the guy Parker just beat in Deontay Wilder. Then after that, there was talk of Zhilei Zhang fighting Martin Bakole. Bakole ended up fighting Jared Anderson, and Parker has always been interested in fighting Adric Kabayel because he is another guy who has had a massive career resurgence to where he's a top 5 heavyweight. But now there's talk of Kabayel fighting Bakole later this year. Parker has been calling out Daniel Dubois now that he has beaten Anthony Joshua, but there's no talk of that fight happening. Why can Joseph Parker not get a fight? Why is Joseph Parker unable to get a fight? This guy, again, I've already explained in other videos shortly once I started this YouTube channel, he was, in my opinion, a very underrated guy when he was on top, because this guy had wins over Andy Ruiz, Carlos Takam before any of the other top heavyweights, meaning Anthony Joshua fought Takam. He also went toe-to-toe with Dillian Whyte and, in my opinion, was robbed of a fair decision. Was stopped by Joe Joyce, and many people thought that would be his last hurrah, especially after looking good against Derek Chisora but getting smoked by Joyce. Now he's back on top with wins over Wilder and Zhilei Zhang back-to-back. And yet nobody talks about this guy fighting any of the top heavyweights. And Joseph Parker is frustrated. He is a very humble guy, so you don't hear him complaining about it on social media that much, but he is saying time and time again that he wants a fight and nobody's going to give it to him. He apparently just flew to Ireland because he was planning to be on the undercard of Usyk Fury 2, which is happening in December, but now he's not going to be on the undercard. We've seen the undercard for that fight be announced and he's nowhere to be seen. So he's still in limbo. And I'm going to do videos on what Andy Lee, his trainer, is talking about lately, but it's just so frustrating. I know Joseph Parker is not the most exciting fighter in the world, but if you're talking about best heavyweights in the world, then you can't have that discussion without talking about this man. If you look at the rankings, Alexander Usyk, he is the king at the moment. Tyson Fury, okay, he's got a better resume than Parker. Daniel Dubois looked very good against Anthony Joshua and Hrgovic back-to-back, but Parker has a much longer resume in terms of fighting the best and beating the best. He just beat Zhilei Zhang. Kabayel, again, he's had a resurgence as of late and is looking very promising. Parker has called him out. Bakole, again, Parker has beaten more top fighters than him. Joshua, he looks like he's done at the moment. Filip Hrgovic, he just lost and has had a disappointing career up until this point. F.A. Jagber and Justin Hooney, these guys are new to the rankings and their resumes don't compare to Joseph Parker. So what I'm saying is, Joseph Parker, in my opinion, really has a top 3 heavyweight resume at the moment. So again, why can this guy not get a fight? He's called out everybody. He's called out Zhang, he's called out Kabayel, he's called out Dubois, he's called out Bakole. And I understand that some of those guys have their own title shots in mind because Kabayel is the WBC interim champion and he deserves it. After beating Frank Sanchez the way he did, he definitely deserves a title shot, but the belts are tied up because Usyk is fighting Fury again, and there's still plenty of time for Fury to pull out of the fight if he does, but until then the rematch goes ahead. Daniel Dubois, well, he is world champion at the moment, and he does unfortunately have to give Joshua a rematch if Joshua enforces it, and we'll be talking about that if there is a possibility that Joshua does enforce it. Bakole is an interesting case because he and his manager often talk about everybody being inferior to him, but look how long it took for him to get on one of those big Saudi cards. So Bacoli really should have been fighting more often than he has, but you know, he had a fantastic win, upsetting Jared Anderson, destroying him and annihilating him and really exposing him as a hype job. But there's no talk of him fighting Joseph Parker, which it would make all the sense in the world, because I think Bacoli, despite being however old he is and being, you know, new to the top 10, you could say, he, in my opinion, has a style that gives any of these guys trouble, and Joseph Parker, I do think, would have his hands full in that fight. So I think Bacoli's team should be pushing for that fight. But it's just very frustrating. Let me know your thoughts down below about why you think Joseph Parker can't get a fight. How disappointing is this? And again, we've had great fights this year in boxing. Cannot complain whatsoever. But I'm disappointed that Joseph Parker isn't getting the respect he deserves. And what does it say about Turki Alalshikh when one of the best heavyweights in the world, who has been a regular on Saudi shows and been a go-to fighter for them, has no problem being active, actually wants to be active, and one of those guys who doesn't just talk about it, he does it, he stays active, especially when he loses, which again is the kind of fighter we want in boxing, can't get a fight and really just gets ignored. What does this say about Turki Alalshikh? Let me know your thoughts down below, guys, about what you think should happen with Joseph Parker. Like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Catch you later with more videos.